Hey everyone, welcome back. So I really hope you guys had a better day than the market did today. Today is obviously Tuesday. CPI data came out. Markets crashed like crazy. Bitcoin crashed like crazy. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin. We'll take a look at the miners. The miners were down pretty bad today as well. We'll take a look at the CPI data. It wasn't good. And then we'll take a look at obviously Iris Energy. They provided their fiscal year 2022 financial results. We'll take a look at those. That was a pain in the rear as well. And they provided their financial results in USD dollars this time around, but for their quarterly reports, they put it out as Australian dollars. So it took me like 2.5 hours to go through all the numbers today. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, and you appreciate all the work I put into it, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And as always, not financial advice. This is for entertainment only. Obviously, I'm investing in 5 coins and companies, as you guys are well aware of. So let's get into the markets here really quick, and then we'll get into the miners as well. So the S&P was down 4.32% today. Dow Jones was down 3.96%, and the NASDAQ was down 5.16%. Not a good day. Bitcoin, on the other hand, was only down today. If we look at it here on the daily chart, it was down 9.94% on the day. So pretty much almost double what NASDAQ did. We obviously had ever since this morning when the news came out, if we go back far enough, we can see here that we just fell and we just continued falling, which wasn't good. The good thing is that we are still, at least looking at the chart on the daily, we are at 20,149 right now. We are still above our support line, which is at 19,500, which is good. We are still above our trend line for the time being, at least, which is good as well. The RSI has come down on the daily a little bit, which was kind of good because we were kind of popping up here a little bit. So we do have a little bit of breathing room here. On the 1 hour chart, it is way oversold right now. So I would imagine that we may fall a little bit more before we start going back up a little bit. On the 4 hour chart, we are getting close to the oversold territory as well. We are higher than we were in the past. That's a good sign. We'll see if that can obviously keep going. But we are where we are right now, and it just wasn't a good day. Ethereum was down also today quite a bit. It was down 8.27%, so not as bad as Bitcoin was. But nonetheless, it was still down. On the 1 hour, on the daily chart, it's still looking okay. It's at 1,565 right now. RSI is still about flat right now with the price on it, at least on the daily chart. On the 1 hour chart, we are looking a bit oversold here a little bit. We were way oversold, but we did go up on the RSI a little bit and then continue falling down even further from where we were. So at least on the short term, it's looking a little bit bearish. We'll see if we can reverse this trend and continue going back up here. We also obviously have with Ethereum the merge coming. This is going to be probably happening around Friday in the morning, between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning sometime. So we'll see what effect that has on Ethereum going forward. And obviously it's going to have an effect on the miners as we know it. So let's just take a look at the miners here, see how they did today. And we'll get into the other news stories as well. So ANY was down 7.82% to 61 cents. Argo looks like was actually up 0.96% today to 44 cents. BitDigital was down 8.33% to $1.43. Bitfarms was down 11.35% to $1.25. CleanSpark was down 8.59% to $4.47. Cores was down 11.45% to $2.01. DigiHost was down 9.10% to 83 cents. DMG was down 11.54% to 22 cents. Greenidge was down 7.59 to $2.19. Hive was down 11.13% to $4.55. HUT was down 15.42% to $2.03. Iris Energy was down 8.78 to $4.26. Luxfolia was down 7.77% to basically 7 cents. Marathon was down 11.16% to $12.82. Mawson was down 1.4% to 70 cents. Riot was down 9.92% to $7.63. Soluna Holdings was down 15.56% to $2.66. And Stronghold was down 12.65% to $1.45. So pretty bad day in the markets, along with Bitcoin miners as well. Not a good day. Obviously, the analysts were a little bit more optimistic on the inflation coming out. So when we take a look at that really quick, we'll take a look at the numbers here on the inflation, and then we'll get into some of the other things here. Let me pull this up really quick. All right, let's see if we can do this. Perfect. All right, there it is. Okay, so here's the data that we got. Obviously, we came in at 8.3% on the inflation, which is right there. And then the core came in at 6.3, I believe, which is right here. This is bad. We obviously don't want this going up here, which it has been going up. That's not good. And basically this red line is all items less food energy. This is all items on the blue line up there. We have been coming down on that, which is good. But obviously all items less food and energy is not good going back up. We want both of these lines to trend down lower this way. But we're having a little bit of an uptick here, which isn't good. All right, let's take a look at some of the numbers here that we have for this. Big ones, obviously the decrease in energy commodities was way down. So energy was down 5%. Energy commodities was down 10.1. Gasoline was down 10.6. Fuel was down 5.9, which was good. A couple of things that we had up here that were energy services. Electricity was up 1.5. Looks like gas was up 3.5%. So that's not good. And what else do we have here that was up quite a bit? That was basically it. I mean, it wasn't too bad overall, but the big thing obviously was the food. So food index increased 0.8% in August, the smallest monthly increase in the index since December 2021. The food at home index rose 0.7% in August as all 6 major grocery store food groups indices increased, which wasn't too bad. Food away from home increased by 0.09% here. And energy actually fell 0.5%, which we just covered a little bit here. But all items less food and energy, so the index for all items less food and energy rose 0.6% in August after increasing 0.3% in July. So that was obviously an increase of 0.3. On the upside, that wasn't good. Obviously, that's kind of what spooked the market a little bit. The shelter index continued to rise as well, increasing 0.07% in August compared to 0.05 in July also. So we had a 0.2% increase in that, which wasn't good. And then we had also the Medicare index rose 0.7% in August after rising 0.04 in July. So that's another 0.3 increase in that as well, which isn't good also. Let's see here. Furnishings also increased a little bit here as well. Airlines continued to decline in August, decreased 4.6%, which was good after falling 7.8% in July. So those are obviously nice decreases there at least. And looking at some of the data down here, we can see obviously, where was this? August from 2021 to 2022. So we're looking at this table here right there. Food obviously increased 11%. Food at home increased 13.5%. Cereals and bakery products 16.4%. Meats and poultry 16% for dairy. Big items obviously still here are energy up 23% over the same time last year. Gas is up 33%, which is a big one as well. And then all items less food and energy is up 6.3%. Big things that are up is apparel. Actually, new vehicles are still up 10.1%. Apparel is up 5.1%. Commodities less food and energy is up 7.1%. Rent has also gone up 6.7%, which isn't good. And Medicare hospital, where was that? Medicare services, 5.6% up, which isn't good. And hospital services up 4% as well. Airfares are up 33.4% from last year, which wasn't good. We did have a decrease, obviously, here in this period of negative 8.8. Let's see, what did we have as far as big increases here? We didn't have too many big increases, but nonetheless, obviously the core, this part here went up, and this is what actually spooked the markets. And obviously the concern there is that the Fed may go, more than likely he's going to go 75 basis points, but there is a possibility now that he may go a full 100 basis points, basically 1% increase, just to kind of shock the market a little bit down more and put a little stop to all this. But we'll see what happens there. So there's CPI data. It wasn't great, obviously. All items did go down, but all items less food and energy did go up. So that's the bad part there. And it didn't meet analysts' estimates what they were thinking it was going to do. They were looking to be possibly closer to 8. We were at 8.3. They were looking for other things to come down as well. That didn't happen. So we are where we are right now. Okay, so that was CPI. Let's take a look at Iris Energy here really quick. And we'll call it a day here. So let me refresh this. So we have right now 553 days, 9 hours, and 23 minutes until possibly the next halving event in Bitcoin, which is going to be a bumpy ride until we get a little bit closer to it, possibly 6 months prior to 9 months Prior to that, we may start going back up if history repeats itself. All right, so Irish Energy reports record full year FY 2022 results. Okay, I got a little gripe here, so I got to vent my frustrations a little bit. So with any miners, if they are providing the numbers, I think I, and along with other investors, would appreciate it. If you're going to report the quarterly numbers in Australian dollars, do the same thing for the fiscal year 2022 numbers, or just in general fiscal year instead of putting it in US. Because then if we're tracking it, then we got to do conversions, and then the conversions suck, and then it takes us a while to get everything figured out. So either that or provide the numbers both for the full year and the quarterly Q4 basically numbers instead of the full year, because then we're having to figure out what was what in Q4, and that wasn't fun. So that's just my rant right there. Like I said, it took me like 2.5 hours to do all the numbers, but we'll just take a look at it here really quick, and then we'll get into my spreadsheet. So record revenue of 59 million, nice increase over a year, 647%. Record adjusted EBITDA of 26.2 million. That's a 1,791% year-over-year increase, and record adjusted EBITDA margin of 44%, which is an increase of 144% year-over-year, which is good. Record cash flow from operations of 21.6 million, and then record average operating hash rate of 747 petahash, which is a 611% increase year-over-year. They did mine 1,398 Bitcoin, which is an increase of 422% year-over-year. And they have 110 million cash and cash equivalents as of June 30th, 2022, and no corporate debt, which is good as well. So let's take a look at the numbers that I have for them. I did listen to a portion of their conference call, and it was just going over the deck that they provided along with it. So you guys can always check that out. You can go to their website, go to the sec.gov website. You can get all information there as well. Let's take a look at the numbers that I have here, and we'll start off with the mining revenue. So it looks like mining revenue came in at 17.1 million in USD. I thought it was going to be 13.5, and then talking yesterday, I thought maybe I was off by about 6-7%. I increased it to 14.5. I was way off by 20%. Still trying to figure out where I was off and how I was off. I don't know if it was the conversion from Australian dollars to USD that contributed to it, which it might have, depending on when they sold it. And also, just a preface on this, please double check my work on this. I tried my darndest to make it as accurate as possible as I could. I could have made a mistake here or there, but I'm pretty sure I did. I'm almost 100% certain I did really good on the conversions and the calculations, but we'll take a look at it here. So obviously I was off by about 3.5 million or so on that. So that's obviously a good thing. I was lower. I'd rather be lower than higher. So that obviously increased their revenue here. So now that we're looking at their current revenue for this last 3 quarters, which is at 52 million right now, and the current quarter we're looking at about 16 million or so. That I'm guessing is going to be probably also lower. We are also tracking Bitcoin as an average price here at the end in August and in September. So that might make a difference a little bit here. July, we use the end of the month price, which if I may go back and actually do that as the average price. I'm thinking that's going to help us out a little bit, even out the price a little bit, because Bitcoin is quite volatile, so it does fluctuate quite a bit. So we got them right now at 16, but given where they are right now and their hash rate increase, I could see them getting to probably maybe 20 million, depending on the numbers here where Bitcoin ends up at. So this is where we have them at. Combined total of 68 million. 50% 50% net income from gross revenue would be at 34 million using the PE. Using the PE of 20, we're looking at a stock price of $12.43. They are right now at $4 and a little bit less than that because I have not updated this yet today. But they're a little bit lower than that. And 75% net income from gross revenue, we're looking at a PE of 20 with a price target of $18.64. So somewhere around there, we could take them down a little bit more to 15, and you're looking at $9.32 to $13.98. They are undervalued in my opinion right now. But let's take a look at the numbers that we have here for them on the spreadsheet. So here's what we did. So they provided the numbers fiscal year 2022 in USD. I then used the conversion on here to convert it from USD to Australian US dollar or Australian dollar and put the number in here. For the assets, the liabilities I used what they reported here on the spreadsheet. When we get into the revenue, I'll explain that a little bit more in detail on that one. But right now, cash and cash equivalents is about 163 Australian dollars. Amounts receivable 35 million, and prepaid and other assets is at 39 million. So that's obviously a little bit of an increase on these two, a decrease on the cash and cash equivalents. Obviously, they possibly paid off a little bit of the miners, which is fine. So we're down to 237 million Australian dollars from 269 million. So about 32 million less or so on that. Property did increase obviously to 367 million from 224, which is good. Right of use went up a little bit. Goodwill went up a little bit as well. Deferred tax went down, which is fine. Mining hardware payments did decrease a little bit. Other assets is fine. So total non-current assets did increase to 608 million Australian, and total assets did increase to 846 million Australian as well. And that is based on this number here. So let's see if we get this correct. So this equals currency convert. We're converting that number to AUD. Let's see if I did that right. 608. So where am I getting this number from? So that's because it's the same number here. I didn't pull it down over here. So yeah, so we got 608. So we're really close to that number. And it all depends on obviously the conversion factor or the currency factor exchange. So I made this static so it doesn't change on me, because if as time goes by, that might change. We don't want it to change, so this is kind of what we have them at right now. So it's static. It's not going to change on us. Current liabilities. So trade and other payables up to 27.9 million from 8 million. Borrowings is up to 89 million from 59 million. Let's see what else do we have here. Provisions up a little bit, and employee benefits up a little bit as well. So total liabilities is 126 million from 72 million. So that's about 54 million increase or so on that. And then this is on Australian. Borrowings is, why did they have this in here twice? That is strange. But the numbers did add up. Okay, so borrowings is 89,763. So those are, looks like, not long-term borrowings. Okay, I just noticed that. All right, deferred tax liability is 280. And total liabilities is 216 million Australian dollars right now. Shareholder equity is issued capital 1.3 billion, it looks like. Australian dollars reserves are down negative 10 million. And accumulated other comprehensive income loss negative 715 million. So stockholder equity is at 649, a little bit of an increase from last quarter. Total liabilities and shareholder equity is up as well to 865 million Australian from 743, so that's good as well. Revenues. Okay, so this is where I actually did the conversions from USD for the full year. I converted over to Australian dollars, and then I also had to put in basically the last 3 quarters, which was Q3, Q2, and Q1. And these are from September of last year, December, March, and obviously June of this year. So June of this year is actually calculated from the fiscal year 2022. And that got us to 25 million Australian dollars. Once we combined the last 3 quarters and subtracted that from the full year, we came up with obviously the 25 million for that. That equates to about 17.145 million in USD dollars. Excuse me. And that was just for self-mining. They had other services revenue of 1,000 or something like that, which wasn't basically insignificant as well. And then depreciation and amortization was at negative 5 million. Electricity charges was 6 million for the quarter. Employee benefits was way up here to negative 5.7 million from 1.9. So that is definitely a huge increase there. And I think it might be, well, I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I'll keep quiet on that one. Share-based payments expenses was up also to 6.3 from 4.8. Let's see, what else do we have here? Professional fees, way up on professional fees here. They did come down in Q3, but way up again in Q4. Other expenses was way up also to 9.2 from 3.9. That's almost a 3 3x increase on that. So we had total other expenses was negative, how did I figure that out? Negative 12.5 million. That can't be right. Something's not adding up here. Revenues. Oh, so I think that's just, if we combine, let's see here, if we combine all these, that's 37 million. Okay, so that's 37 million in expenses subtracted from revenues, and we get a negative number here on that one. Finance expenses went way up, 46 million also from 1.9, negative 1.9. We did have a positive here of 99 in Q2. And let's see here, I want to make sure, yep, these are static, okay. Interest income was okay. Foreign exchange, profit loss before income and tax benefits was negative 39 million in Q4. Okay, sorry, I'm just got a lot of numbers here. I just want to make sure I did this right. So we're just going over this a little bit slower than I normally would. Net loss gain income from period was negative 39 million Australian dollars. And let's see, other comprehensive loss was 39, basically 39 million on that one. Gross profit margin was 52%. Gross profit margin minus depreciation was 74%, which is obviously down here. We've been heading downwards ever since Q2. Q3 was down, and obviously Q4 is down. Q1 wasn't too bad. It was pretty close to Q2 as well. It's 86%. Overall, for the year, we're at 81%, so that's not too bad. And gross profit, it was at 68%, so that's actually pretty good as well. Net loss was 443 million, it looks like. Times 1,000, yeah, that would be 443 million. That always messes me up when they do it in thousands. For the quarter, we were down 79 million, it looks like. And that is it. So those are the numbers there. Okay, now looking at the, let me see, where's Iris? Iris is right there. So current ratio is a dollar. It's 1.883, which is pretty good. So they basically have enough money in total current assets to pay off total current liabilities, which is great. So they are on the plus side there. And then debt to equity, we're looking at them at 0.33, which is fine. Obviously, we want that to be a little bit lower, but they still have about 21 million in Australian dollars if they took all of their liabilities and paid them off, basically. So 216 million in liabilities total. Subtract that from their total current assets at 237,000, and we'd still be in a good shape there. So that's a good sign there. We've obviously had a lot of miners going negative on us, but they're still staying positive. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 miners out of 18 that are still positive on this. And so greater majority is actually on the negative side, which is obviously based on the fact that Bitcoin has been going down in price. All right. As far as my thoughts on it. So overall, pretty good quarter. They have been growing pretty fast here, at least in the last month in August. They've grew pretty nicely, almost 1 exahash here in speed. They are saying that they're going to be at 3 point something by the end of September as well, I think. So that's going to be a huge increase for them as well. So they are growing nicely. The fact that they don't have a lot of debt, they do have a lot of cash on hand still. And they are pretty much fully funded to get to 6 exahash, I think, by the end of this year or Q1 of 2023. The question is, I didn't hear this, so I don't know if this is fact, but what's going on with the rest of their, almost 8 exahash in 2023? I might have missed that in obviously the conference call. So if anybody knows on that, that'd be great. I don't think that obviously this has been funded yet, so this is something that they're going to have to fund, and hopefully they got a better price on it going forward from Bitmain on these, because that's obviously still a lot of miners that are supposed to be getting installed. And are they building out further infrastructure to get to that 15 exahash mark that they had here? Okay, so this is what I'm going to do right now with everything the way that it's going. A couple of things I want to do is I want to still dollar cost average into Bitfarms, CleanSpark. I want to get those a little bit lower to where I'm at right now. Right now I'm like still down 28-30% on Bitfarms, so I want to dollar cost average into that one a little bit more. On CleanSpark, I'm down, well, after today, I'm probably down closer to 15%. So I want to dollar cost average into those. Once I get those down a little bit closer to around 10%, being down on them, I'll probably start doing a little nibbling here on Iris Energy. I really like what they're doing, and seeing the fact that they're using a lot of their Bitcoin or all their Bitcoin to fund operations, I find it very appealing to possibly invest in them. Plus, them having out a lot of debt, which is another plus there. So this is just what I'm doing. Not financial advice. You guys have to do your own due diligence on this as well. But that's kind of what I'm doing, what I'm planning on doing. Don't know exactly the time frame when I'm going to start nibbling at Iris Energy, but I do want to get it in possibly while things are still down. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, months, I'll be able to start taking a little bit of a position in them as well. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. Spreadsheet is always available to my Patreon members. Thank you to everyone there for their support. Love everyone here. Let me know down in the comments what you think of Iris Energy in the comments. And then we'll see what happens tomorrow. We're still waiting on Mawson and Solana to provide their monthly updates for August. Once that happens, we'll do the miner versus miners as always. So that's it. Have a great one. Hopefully tomorrow's going to be a better day.